my dear student. How are you all? Hope all of you are fine. I'm also fine by the grace of Almighty Allah. And you know me, I'm Shahla Zaman, your ICT teacher. Today, again with another new class, new topic, I'm standing in front of you. Today, I will take class on chapter 2. I think all of you are ready with your textbook at classwork copy. Yes, I hope you will be attentive in the class. Let's start today's class. Before starting the new lesson, I want to ask you some questions from previous class. I think you was attentive and you prepared the lesson, you have done the homework, isn't it? So, give me the following question. Student, firstly I will talk about previous class. So it's very important to check what you learned from previous class. For that, I made ready some of the question for you. Number 1, what is input device? You see, we are telling the device we are usually used for giving instruction to the computer, right? It's called input device. I gave here answer also. I know you know the correct answer. See, an input device is a piece of equipment used to provide data and control signals to an information processing system. Next question, 2 number. Give 5 examples of input device. Yes, it's very easy question. And you know the answer. Like mouse, keyboard, optical mark reader, microphone, joystick is the very common input devices. Coming next question. Write the structure of mouse. Yes, mouse is very much popular input device and we are using it all the time. All of we are very much actually habituated to use this type of device. So let's check the structure. Mouse usually has 2 buttons and a scroll wheel. These buttons are used in different ways to input command in the computer. The position of the mouse is shown on the monitor by a pointer that looks like an arrowhead. Commands to the computer are given by pressing the right button. The mouse is most commonly used in a graphics-based operating system. Yes, we know it's very common thing that mouse has a left button, right button and the scroll wheel in the middle. Now, check question number 4. Write 3 uses of webcam. It's very important question for you. Yes, you are right. Webcam is mostly used in social websites in exchanging views. Next one, it is used for security surveillance. Number 3, the common use of it as a video camera for the World Wide Web. Yes, we are using this one for World Wide Web. That is, that camera in your laptop you are using in your mobile phone. We are using all the time. And the last question here, how does optical mark reader identify the correct answer? Yes, it is the use of OMR. The position of the correct answers are previously stored in the memory of the computer. If the candidate fill up the circle of correct right answer, they will get the credit. That means it actually works by the reflection of light. My dear student, today's class we are going to discuss lesson 10 and the name of the lesson is memory and storage device. Let's say what are the devices. I have shown you here one picture related memory and storage devices. So let's check one time what are the teaching point. Yes, today's class we will discuss memory device, bit and byte, RAM and ROM and difference between RAM and ROM. And lesson 10, there is very common question like at present where memory and storage devices are used. You know, my dear student, nowadays use of memory card is very much important. All types of devices, okay, intelligent devices including mobile phone, we are using memory devices. It helps us to store different kind of data. So one more time you can check what are the devices we are using memory and storage devices. Number 1, digital camera, mobile phone, television, printer, portable game device and DVD recorder. So all these devices very much popular nowadays, and we are storing data and information in our digital camera, in our mobile phone. Also television, now you can use memory card, isn't it? And technology made our life easier, you know. So what is this memory device actually? Yes, the definition of memory device, we can tell that storage devices are any type of hardware that is capable of storing and retrieving data. Yes, it helps you to store the data and information. My dear student, I am showing here the classification of computer memory. And you know, computer have two kinds of memory, primary memory and secondary memory. Again, we can classify primary memory another two parts, RAM and ROM. And secondary memory we can classify in punching device, magnetic tape, floppy disk, optical disk, hard disk and flash disk. So part by part we will discuss all types of memory. Okay. So firstly we will talk about primary memory. So what is primary memory and what are the characteristics? Actually we are telling that primary memory is a kind of memory that work like main memory. Yes, it's known as main memory, and usually it is volatile. Volatile, that means actually it's mean that you can remove this one anytime. Number 3, data is lost in case of power is switched off. Number 4, faster than secondary memory. And number 5, computer cannot run without the primary memory. Yes, so primary memory is very much important, already you can understand. And without primary memory, your computer will not run. So overall what we can see here, that primary memory is also called as main memory of the computer. It stores the instruction, operating system and data which required to run the computer. I think you are clear. My dear student, now I want to show you the classification of primary memory. Previously I have shown here the classification of memory. So there we found primary memory and secondary memory. But now I am going to show you the classification of primary memory. So from the figure you are very clear that primary memories are two types, random access memory, read-only memory. So again, random access memory we are classified into static RAM and dynamic RAM. And read-only memory we are classifying PROM, EPROM, EEPROM. Don't worry, I will tell you the full form. Just wait. See here, my dear student, I am giving picture of RAM and ROM. I think you saw it. Yes, in your motherboard, in your CPU, this type of RAM and ROM you can observe. There is another most important point, that is the difference between RAM and ROM. So At the same time, I want to tell you one thing, that RAM and ROM both are very much important part of our CPU. So excluding RAM and ROM, you cannot actually run your computer, and both are playing very much important role in your computer. Let's see the difference between RAM and ROM. So RAM, actually we are telling it is random access memory, and information can be read from and written into RAM. That means that information you are searching, you are working, basically you are working on RAM. Now see what is ROM. That is read only memory. So see how it is work. Information can only be read form and not written or changed into ROM. That means we found here ROM can read, but you cannot change this information from ROM. Number 2, volatile memory of a computer. Yes, we are telling it is like liquid, it is removable, but in case of ROM, it is built-in memory. Okay, it's not removable. Then RAM, number 3. The storage of data and instruction in RAM is temporary. Yes, it is temporary. You can remove that, I told already. So data and instruction anytime you can remove. But in case of ROM, the storage of data and instruction is permanent. Number 4, RAM. It is disappear from RAM as soon as the power to the computer is switched off. That means if suddenly electricity gone, that work you are doing on RAM, it will be removed. It will be erased. That means it will depend on the power supply. Whereas ROM doesn't depend on the power supply. I think you are clear the difference, and this difference is very much important for your exam. I hope you will collect the difference in your classwork copy, isn't it? Now, my dear student, I want to give you some detail about RAM. So it's also called read-write memory, or the main memory of the primary memory. Okay, so RAM, sometimes we can tell it is read-write memory, main memory, or primary memory. And the program and data that the CPU required during the execution of a program are stored in this memory. That means whenever you are working, different types of data will store here. RAM is a volatile memory, as the data lost when the power is turned off. Already we learned this point, we get some idea about RAM in the difference. Now we can tell that RAM are two types. There is SRAM, that is static RAM, and DRAM, dynamic RAM. Okay, so if someone asks you how many types of RAM are there, obviously we'll tell there's two types, static RAM and dynamic RAM. Remember. I think RAM portion is clear. Now coming ROM. Actually, see, storage. You can tell that store essential information to operate the system, like the program essential to boot the computer. That means ROM is very much essential to boot the computer, run the computer. And already we know it is not volatile and always retain its data. Used in embedded system or where the programming needs no change. And we can tell RAM is three types. That is PROM, programmable ROM, EPROM, electrically programmable ROM, that is read-only memory, and EEPROM, electrically erasable programmable ROM. I hope you will know the full form very carefully. Okay, don't forget. I want to tell you these three types again. PROM, that is programmable ROM. EPROM, that is electrically programmable ROM, and EEPROM, electrically erasable programmable ROM. I want to share one video with you. I think you will learn something from the video, and later on you will write in the comment section that what you will learn from the video. Okay, let's enjoy the video.
Today, we are going to talk about the difference between RAM and ROM. Have you ever bought a laptop, or are you planning to buy a laptop but doesn't know what model and brand to buy? There are key specifications or key specs you need to know before buying one. The three important specs we need to look before buying laptops are the operating system, the RAM, and ROM of the laptop. Now, many people often interchange the functions of RAM and ROM, or don't know the difference of the two components, or even don't know these two components at all. Before we discuss the difference between RAM and ROM, let's define the two components first. RAM stands for Random Access Memory. This is one of the most important components of a computer, cell phone, tablet, and other devices. Without RAM, doing something in your laptop or device is much slower, or even applications in your device like Netflix, Mobile Legends, Facebook, etc. cannot be opened. RAM is considered a storage since it stores data or information in your device temporarily. Even though it is considered storage, RAM is volatile or volatile type storage, meaning when you turn off your laptop or device, all the data or information stored in RAM will be deleted. The most common type of RAM is the dynamic RAM or DRAM. In DRAM, each memory cell is composed of a transistor and capacitor within the integrated circuits or IC that stores electrical charges. It is called dynamic since it holds charges briefly before it drains and needed to refresh or recharge again every few milliseconds to retain data. DRAM's latency, or the time it takes to send information, is around 100 nanoseconds. Now, 100 nanoseconds is quite fast already, but for the modern CPU, the 100 nanoseconds is too long. That's why another type of RAM is introduced, and this is the static RAM or SRAM. SRAM is made up of 4 to 6 interlocked transistors. SRAM doesn't need refreshing, that's why it is the fastest memory in computer system, but also the most expensive part of a computer. For the storage capacity, RAM can store multiple gigabytes of data ranging from 1 to 256 gigabytes per chip. So that's the brief information about RAM. Now let's discuss what ROM is all about. ROM stands for Read-Only Memory. As what the name indicates, it can only read data. ROM is also a storage medium that stores information permanently, meaning it is non-volatile memory. So even if you turn off your computer, the data in ROM will remain. A ROM stores such instructions that are required to start a computer, and this operation is called the bootstrap. For example, when you start your computer, the screen doesn't appear instantly. It requires time to appear, as there are instructions stored in ROM which are required to start the computer during booting process. Also, ROM is much slower and much cheaper than that of ROM.
My dear student, see one thing. Can you understand anything from this picture? I think you get some idea. You see, I have shown here 0 and 1 is bit. That means these two are called binary language. Yes, in case of computer language, we are telling 0 and 1 is bit. And 8 bit can make 1 byte. You know, computer cannot understand any English, Bengali, anything. It can understand only language, that is called machine language, this binary language. Thus 0 and 1 is called the binary language, and from this 0 and 1 actually that electric signal pass through the CPU and computer get instruction. I want to show you one more chart. See, I think it's clear. It is bit and byte. You see, 1 bit, already I show you 0 and 1 is called bit. Then byte, 1 byte equal to 8 bit. And 1 kilobyte, we can tell it is 2 to the power 10 bytes. That means 1024 bytes. Okay. Then 1 megabyte, how it is created? It will be, you can tell, 2 to the power 10 multiply 2 to the power 10 bytes. That means 1 kilobyte multiply 1 kilobyte. Okay. Again 1 gigabyte, you can tell, that is 2 to the power 10 multiply 2 to the power 10 multiply 2 to the power 10 bytes. That means you will multiply 3 times of 1 kilobyte. Okay. And terabyte, that 4 times of 1 kilobytes. You can get total. So it's very clear, this chart is very clear to remember. I hope you try to remember this chart, because you will get this question in your MCQ. Students, last few minutes we have discussed some of the topic. Now this is the time of related question. I want to give you some of the related question, and I hope you will learn the related question. Number 1. What is called memory device? Where memory devices are mostly used nowadays? Number 2. Describe the types of memory device. Question number 2. Describe the types of primary memory. So you will show here how many types of primary memory are there. Yes, there are 2 types. You will write detail, and if you follow the video you will get the detail. Okay. 3 number question. Write the difference between RAM and ROM. So RAM, that is random access memory, and ROM, that is read-only memory. And I already gave you the difference in the slide. My dear students, this is feedback session, because already we are end of the class. I need to check actually what you will learn from today's class. I know all of you are very much attentive in the class, and you have learned, you take notes from the class. Let's check what you will learn from today's class. See, question number 1. How many kinds of primary memory are there? Yes, it is 2 kinds. Number 2, 1024 bytes equals to how many kilobyte? It is 1 kilobytes. Very good, correct answer. 3 number question. Where does processor primarily stored data? Where? Guess. RAM. Yes. Number 4. Which memory lost its stored data if power falls or removed? Where? RAM. Number 5. In which memory commands are stored permanently? Guess. ROM, that is read-only memory. Actually, these questions are very simple, very easy. After that, I need to check, so that I made this question for you. Dear student, take your homework. It is your learn plus write homework. And question number 3 is your homework. Write the difference between RAM and ROM. So make a chart, make a table and write clearly. And end of the chapter, I want to tell you one thing, that what you will learn from today's class. We have learned the difference between RAM and ROM. We learn about different kinds of memory and the types and their description, isn't it?
Contrary to popular belief, memory is not equal to storage. Here's an example. Let's say you work for a very demanding king. This king's name is Curtis Paul Ulysses, or King CPU for short. This king wants you to go to a faraway land and collect some information for him. So you go. You arrive at the faraway land and you ask for information. To your dismay, the information given is much more than you can possibly remember. But you have an idea. You decide that if you can take a portion of that information and keep it on your mind, you can go back and tell your king. Maybe you can't tell him everything, but you can tell him the most relevant information relating to what he wanted to know. You arrive back to the king's CPU, and you tell him the information that you have, excited to know that what you found is relevant to what he was asking. Unfortunately, King CPU is also a slave driver, so he sends you back to get more. I use this story to demonstrate the difference between storage and memory. The faraway land acts as the hard drive or storage. That's where the majority of the information is kept and stored. While it's great to be able to have a lot of information, it's hard to actually use that or keep it on your mind at one time. That's where you come in. You're the memory, or RAM, which stands for readily accessed memory. While you can't keep a lot of information on your mind at one time, you're able to get the most relevant information so King CPU can use it whenever he needs it. Storage, or hard drive space, usually comes in this form. When you think of hard drive space, think of a library. Think of a big shelf with a lot of books. However, if you want to find specific information, this is very slow. This is a stick of RAM and how memory usually comes. Think of RAM as something that's on the front of your brain, something you're thinking about right now. You can think about that thing very quickly, it's very relevant to you, but it's a relatively small amount of information. You can't think of a lot of things at one time. Hope this clarifies the difference between storage and memory for you. If you would like to learn more about the different types of RAM and storage, please stay tuned as I'll be coming out with videos on those topics shortly.
Yes. Thank you, my dear student, for staying with us. I know you are very much attentive and you are doing the homework regularly, doing the classwork regularly, and as a student it is your duty. So that give attention, talk to your teacher, cooperate your teacher, take care. Allah Hafiz. My dear students, we are end of the class. I think it was much attentive in today's class, and today's lesson we discussed about the storage device and memory device. I think there is no confusion. Hope you will learn the lesson RQ properly and you will do the HW. After that, if you have any queries or any problem in any lesson, you will talk to your subject teacher or write in the comment section. I will give you question answer. Okay? Before completing the class, I want to tell you something about health consciousness. I hope during this corona situation you will stay home and stay safe. Thank you. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.